In the weeks before West Bengal's state elections, 9.1 million names were removed from the voter rolls, more than 10% of the state's entire electorate. About 2.7 million of those people formally challenged their removal with documentation and were deleted anyway. This video will examine the process that produced those numbers, who authorized it, how it was carried out, who it affected most directly, and what it means for West Bengal's elections and for the broader question of how electoral systems function when the institutions overseeing them are themselves contested. West Bengal is one of India's most politically significant states. It has been governed for 15 years by the Trinamool Congress Party, currently led by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. The Bharatiya Janata Party, led nationally by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has consistently failed to gain a foothold in the state, in part because it does not have the support of West Bengal's substantial Muslim population, who have been wary of the BJP's Hindu nationalist political platform. The state elections beginning this week represent the BJP's most significant opportunity in years to displace Trinamool Congress from power in a state it has not been able to win. The mechanism at the center of this dispute is called the Special Intensive Revision, or SIR, a process of electoral roll revision that the central BJP government has justified as necessary to prevent illegal immigrants, specifically Muslim Bangladeshi immigrants, from voting. Home Minister Amit Shah has described the SIR in West Bengal and other states as essential to national security and to protecting the democratic system from what he characterized as infiltration. Critics have challenged both the legal basis and the operational execution of that justification, arguing that the process was carried out at an unprecedented speed and that its effects fell disproportionately on Muslim communities and religious minorities. The scale and pace of the revision are central to the dispute. SY Quraishi, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, publicly stated that it took the Election Commission 30 years to achieve 99% accuracy in India's voter rolls under standard procedures. The SIR in West Bengal was carried out over approximately 3 months. Quraishi described the process as administratively flawed, designed to harass, and said the frantic pace was inconsistent with the stated objective of accuracy. He also raised concern about the Election Commission's deployment of an AI-assisted algorithm to identify what it called logical discrepancies in voter data, a tool that flagged millions of Bengali voters for review, including Indian Nobel Laureate Amartya Sen. Experts identified specific technical failures in that algorithm. It did not account for the absence of a standardized way to transcribe Bengali names into English script, meaning that minor spelling variations between family documents, a common result of how Bengali surnames have evolved across generations, were treated as discrepancies. It also flagged parents listed as under 16 and families with more than 5 siblings as anomalies, despite both being common in older generational records. These categories of flagged data led directly to mass challenges and ultimately to the deletion of 2.7 million voters who had formally contested their removal with documentation. The on-the-ground impact is documented in specific cases. In Sherpur village in Murshidabad district, near the Bangladesh border, Jaber Ali, a 36-year-old official tasked with collecting documents for the revision, spent 4 months visiting more than 700 households, verifying records and uploading data, often working 12-hour days in the field followed by late nights at a computer. When the revised rolls were published in late February, he found that most of the people he had verified were missing. So was his own name and those of his brothers. Ali described the pattern in his area as uniform. All those removed were Muslim. Senarul Haq, a 62-year-old retired officer from India's paramilitary Central Reserve Police Force with 35 years of service, also found his name missing, while his wife and 2 sons remained listed. He submitted his documents through proper channels and was still removed. Himani Roy, a 55-year-old government school teacher in Howrah district, will not be allowed to vote for the first time in her life, while simultaneously remaining scheduled to serve as a polling officer on election day. Sabir Ahmed, who leads the Sabar Institute, which has been monitoring and documenting the deletions based on official data, concluded from that research that religion has been the single largest differentiating factor in who was removed. In some Muslim majority constituencies, nearly half of all registered voters were deleted, including people who held documents establishing Indian citizenship and who or whose parents appeared on the 2002 voter roll, the designated cutoff point for eligibility. Consider 2 trajectories from here. If the West Bengal elections proceed without a successful legal challenge to the SIR and the BJP wins the state, the revised electoral roll will have directly shaped the outcome of a major democratic contest in India's most populous, minority-significant state. The precedent that creates of a compressed, algorithm-assisted revision producing mass deletions in the weeks before a contested election becomes available as a template for future applications. If, on the other hand, legal challenges succeed in invalidating portions of the SIR before or after the Election Commission's role in overseeing the process becomes a central constitutional question, with implications for how India's independent electoral institutions are perceived and structured going forward. Parakala Prabhakar, an Indian economist, has argued that the systematic removal of citizens from electoral rolls creates 2 permanent categories of Indian citizenship: those with full political participation and those excluded from it, and that this distinction, once institutionalized, is difficult to reverse. Quraishi, speaking as a former election commissioner, stated that as a citizen, he felt compelled to speak publicly about what he observed, regardless of the awkwardness of commenting on his successors. What to watch is specific. The tribunal processes for challenging individual deletions were largely incomplete before voting began Thursday. The election results in Muslim majority constituencies, where deletion rates were highest, will indicate the measurable electoral effect of the revision. And any Supreme Court ruling on the constitutional challenges to SIR will determine whether the process can be applied again in West Bengal or elsewhere before the next cycle of state or national elections.